so glad to see all of you this morning and all of you out there on my virtual Storytime rug. I'm Miss Dearsha and this is Storytime and we're going to go ahead and get started. Are you ready? Welcome to Storytime at our store. We're so glad you came to read and explore. Now open your eyes and turn up those ears because you never know who or what will appear. Today, we have a special guest, and his name is Tom Lockie. Am I saying that correctly?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and Mr. Tom is not only an author, but he's also a pilot. So I'm going to give the floor to him and allow him to read his book to you and introduce himself. Mr. Tom?
Thank you. Well, I wrote this book, Come Fly With Me, and I have been a pilot for 42 years, and I have about 23,000 hours of flying, and so that's a lot of time, and it's kept me very busy. And along the way, I wrote Come Fly With Me, and I'd like to share it with you. So without any further ado, come fly with me. What a great evening. As I stroll across the ramp to my DC-7, I can smell the salt air and see the mountains off in the distance beyond the bay. It's a perfect night for flying. As I approach the plane, I see lots of people working on it. They look like a colony of ants crawling all over it. They're doing all sorts of things like loading the passenger bags and cargo that we're carrying tonight. The mechanic is inspecting the plane, people are bringing food on board, and the passengers are boarding. We'll be departing very soon. American Flight 2, you're cleared to New York's John F. Kennedy Airport via the Tahoe 1 departure and the Denver transition. Climb and maintain flight level 230. After departure, contact Bay Control on frequency 119.5. Roger, we radio back to him. That's pilot talk for okay, we've got it. Now this particular airplane is brand new. It's the pride of the fleet and the latest model of the DC-7. It has all the bells and whistles that pilots like. My plane takes me to some pretty cool places like New York City on tonight's flight. American Flight 2, you're cleared to start engines and taxi. As each engine comes to life, you can feel the vibration and smell the fuel and oil. The combination is a smell we pilots never forget. It always brings a smile to our faces because we know it's the smell of adventure. With all four propellers spinning, we can hardly hear ourselves think, but we wouldn't have it any other way. Now we're ready to taxi for takeoff. Sitting on the runway, the other end seems so far away, and it's about as wide as the sidewalk in front of my house. I can hold my thumb up and cover the other end of the runway. It's so far away. The flight to New York tonight is really long, almost 8 hours in a propeller airplane. This means we need a lot of fuel to get us there, so our plane's very heavy, and we'll use the whole runway to take off. American Flight 2, you're clear for takeoff, the tower says. We push the throttles up for takeoff power. Boy, you think it was noisy before. Now it's so loud as all four engines work to pull us down the runway fast enough so we can fly. At the very end of the runway, the plane leaps off the ground and sails smoothly into the air. Our lumbering elephant on the ground turns into a graceful bird in the air. American Flight 2, turn right to a heading of 090 and contact departure. Have a great flight. Have a great flight. I always love the sound of that. Our flight takes us over the San Francisco Bay, and I can see the Golden Gate Bridge over my shoulder as it slowly disappears into a fog bank. Out in front of us, the Sierra Nevada mountains are getting bigger and bigger in our front windows. It's like they're growing. Mountains can't grow. Well, actually they can, but that's another story. Anyway, these mountains are getting closer and closer, and no matter how fast we climb, they always stay really close to us. When we level off, they're just 9,000 feet below us. feels like we can reach out and touch them. They seem so close. The mountains and Lake Tahoe pass below us. Lake Tahoe is very cold and clear. It's really deep, too. Mountains, rivers, and lakes give way to the desert, the salt flats, and the Rocky Mountains as our flight continues east toward New York City. As the setting sun fades behind us to the west, night closes in. Everyone on the plane settles in for the 8-hour flight to New York. In the cockpit, we're all business. In the cabin, the passengers feel like they're in a restaurant that's moving at 300 miles an hour. They even get pillows and blankets. It's a first-class ride for them. There's no weather along our path, so we'll have a smooth ride. There's a full moon tonight, too, so everything around us is lit up almost like daytime. City after city go by, each lit by street lights and late-night traffic. Everything seems so close, it seems like you can reach down and pick up the cars and drive them like toy cars. It's like a dream. As the night gives way to the morning, the sun slowly peaks above the horizon to look at us. And we stare right back. Morning is always a great time to fly, unless, of course, you've been flying all night long. As the sun continues to light up the eastern sky, we can see the twinkling lights of New York City in the distance. During our descent for landing, we fly close to the Statue of Liberty. What a great statue, and what a great story she tells. For us, it marks the end of a long flight, an entry into some of the busiest skies in America. As we get close to the airport, we can see the runway lights. From up here, they look like the strings of lights you wrap around your Christmas tree. The runway looks so small, just like a sidewalk again. Our DC-7 touches down smoothly, and I taxi her around the airport to our gate. It's a busy morning here at JFK with planes landing all over the place. It's like morning rush hour traffic on the freeway. The guideman stands at the gate and leads us to our parking spot. As the wheels roll to a stop, the co-pilot and I look at each other and smile. Another successful crossing, we say to each other. That's pilot talk for, whew, we made it. As I walk toward the terminal, I wonder what I like most about flying my DC-7. Is it the sights and sounds of the plane? Is it the excitement of takeoff and landings? Could it be all the flying adventures? There are so many good things about flying, I could never choose just one. Maybe it's something simpler. My dad was a pilot too, and he gave me a gift to enjoy until I could fly like him. That. Yep, I'm the captain of my very own DC-7 model airplane. Like so many other adventures, this flight ended rather abruptly with, "Tommy, turn the lights back on in the living room and come to the kitchen. Dinner is ready." "Oh, Mom, do I have to?" And that's the end. Thank you for coming, and I'm going to give it back to Miss Dearsha, excuse me.
That's okay. Did you guys enjoy that story? What a great story. And if you're a budding pilot, you definitely need to come and get one of these books from the store. I am so glad to have all of you here today. You made it. All right. Thank you so much, Tom. You know what? Let me ask you just one thing.
Sure.
What made you want to write that book?
Well, I think that it's important for you to pass along to your children that they can do whatever they want to do if they put their minds to it, and helping them connect with things is one of the most important things we can do as parents, and that happened to me with my father. We were blessed enough to own an airplane, and he owned it before I was born. And so I took my first airplane ride when I was 2 weeks old. And as soon as I was able to stand on the seat and look over the dash, I thought I was flying. Of course I wasn't, but I thought I was. And there was never, when you make that kind of a connection and it becomes your passion like it became mine, you never have to bother anybody about what they're doing to get done what they need to do to go where they want to go. And that happened to me, and that was kind of the genesis of the book.
Nice.
So anyway.
Nice. Well, thank you everybody for coming. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll have another story for you next week. Bye-bye.